Here comes X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network and Vikings.com, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery and with Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell. I'm Paul Allen. Thank you very much for listening and or watching. Did you notice I dressed up for X's and O's today?
I did. You look great today, man.
Well, thank you.
Look great.
Thank you. This is a seven.
You still have your face for radio, though, unfortunately.
No doubt, but it's a 7-in-1 operation, and Natalie attired is required. The Minnesota Vikings take on the Buffalo Bills Sunday on KFAN. So this week, let me guess, you plan for Josh Allen. If it's Case Keenum, you deal with it.
All I know is, 2 plays after, hurting his elbow, which you could see the play. I mean, he's such a physically gifted guy, strong, kind of got his right arm bent back a little bit, and having kind of been through some things like that before, I'm sure he's absolutely in pain and dealing with some things, but I do know he threw the ball, 70-plus yards 2 plays later, so not expecting anybody other than Josh Allen being out there, but ultimately with that kind of importance to an organization long-term is going to be what they're going to go with, but we've got a plan to see Josh, and I will say, having coached him, and I know Vikings fans are very familiar with Case, regardless of who plays quarterback, this team is a really good football team, and Case can absolutely, move that team and cause us a lot of problems as well.
I really loved what you said in the locker room after the Commanders win. Paraphrasing, the team isn't always at its best, but when it has to be at its best, it's becoming habit. Something along that line.
But the last part of that is by living in that world, you can be at your best when your best is required. That's right. And that's what this football team continues to do.
What goes into that happening?
Well, it's funny. We talked the night before the game, and you have enough pregame kind of night before the game type of meetings with your team. You've given them a lot of the messages before. So what I really spent a lot of the time Saturday night talking about was we have our philosophy and we have our standards that we're constantly trying to live up to and play to our potential. But what I do know is because we use those core foundations each and every day in this building, it allows us to stay true to those things and then be at our best when it's required. And that's really been the secret to our success this year is in the fourth quarter, whether we have a lead or not, regardless, we're going to play our best football when it matters and give ourselves the best possible chance to win football games. And then those players each and every Sunday make that come to life.
And with your defense, the last couple of games into the Washington game, you came into it with, I believe, 10 sacks and 16 tackles for loss. Starting to get some of those equitable numbers to build up. How about your defense? Cousins goes down, Mullins comes in, you settle for a field goal. Your defense, from that moment on, played with its hair on fire.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable how well they played at the end of the game.
Yeah, we talk a lot about whatever side of the ball is required to go out there and set the tone and capture the momentum that we either may or may not have at that time in the game. That's complementary football. Complementary football, everybody always talks about one phase just, continuing to hand over good circumstances to the other. Sometimes you've got to make that happen when maybe things aren't on your side. You might just be playing on the road against not only the team you're playing, but maybe also the guys in the striped shirts as well sometimes. So as a football team, we had to come together, and Harrison making that big-time interception and then getting that stop to get us the ball back and kind of lifted our team up enough. We knew offensively, good front, good defense, but just that we just needed that one more play mentality. Critical third down in the game for Kirk to find Justin the way he did, and obviously come back into the game the next drive and lead us down there for the touchdown off the interception. Just complementary football at its best, and then the situational master side of it at the end. It wasn't pretty, but we were able to run out the clock, which was the ultimate goal, even if we had to go backwards a couple times.
Kevin, conditioning of your team has been a common thread of ours all season. This will be the third time I brought it up. After the Green Bay game, you guys were going strong. And granted, you're kind of blowing them out, but you could see some guys huffing and puffing with Green Bay. The way you handled the whole London situation from the activation through the whole thing to the end of this game with the way you guys finished. And, watching it back, that Washington defensive line's unbelievable, but they got tired at the end of the game. And it just seems the longer the game goes, the stronger you guys are getting.
Yeah, we feel like a super part of our ability to have success is how our team goes into these games. We want our entire available roster to be at their best possible physical level going into games. How do we get them to recover coming out of these grueling games, still feel prepared to go out and play, but be at their best and feel at their best, which is really hard to do during a 17-game NFL season. But with that Washington defense, we knew there would be some ugly runs, there would be some bad football mixed in there, but the idea was continue to wear them down and then have a chance to win the football game in the end. Because if you expose yourself to too many catastrophically bad plays by pressing as an offense, you never really give yourself a chance to win it. You lose it before those circumstances present themselves in the end.
And the topsy-turvy nature of just a single play, like the excellent third down hit to Jefferson, okay? Hey, oh my God, that's my quarterback.
Yeah.
But how excited were you to get single coverage on Justin Jefferson? Wow.
Yeah, we really have to build it in a way where we don't want to miss those opportunities because they don't come around that often in those critical downs. So, at that moment, just kind of the momentum outside of a couple penalties was really still on that Commander defensive side.
Yeah.
I figured we might get some man coverage, so wanted to have that as a possibility in the play. If we get other aspects of coverage, we still had a good concept on the other side. But that's what the addition of TJ and having guys like KJ and Adam on the other side gives us a really versatile offensive structure that we can then attack whatever you want to cover.
I've never asked you this. What was new? What do you think of the Kirk chains bit?
Yeah, a lot of times.
I thought there was a fight at the front of the plane when I got on. It was so loud.
Normally I just check and make sure that we've got everybody on the plane. And then, you and I find our seats there in the middle of the back of the plane, and we just kind of trust that those guys are going to be behaved, but 9 times out of 10 there's some music, and when I look up there and I see Kirk with his shirt off and the chains on, I know that Sunday probably went well for the Vikings. And I'll tell you what, I love this team for so many reasons, but it might seem silly sometimes and fun, but what it looks like to me is a super connected group that loves playing together, loves being around each other.
No doubt.
And makes it fun to come to work every day.
And you've known Kirk longer than any of us. Inherently, the quarterback is generally the identifiable leader of a team.
Yep.
And how important is it when said leader is as humble as Kirk Cousins?
I just think that Kirk likes to do his talking on the field, and he's won us a lot of games this year by just being at his best when it is required. I know I've said that a lot, and I think it's important that people understand really what that means at the quarterback position, to have the ability, no matter the circumstances, no matter how hard it's been, to have a chance to go win the football game, overcome another 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter. It may seem sometimes like he's just out there making throws and things are kind of coming to life, but there's a lot of energy and preparation that goes into it. He is as hardworking and as dialed in as any guy I've ever been around. And I think our team responds to that, and I think hopefully Vikings fans can see just how important he's been to our offense.
And Kevin, you played quarterback for a long time. So, like, when I think of quarterbacks who hang in the pocket till the very last second, Kurt Warner, Ben Roethlisberger, guys like that, who know they're going to get stuck and they still deliver it, that you can't teach that. You have to have that gene, is my belief. And Kirk has that. I mean, that's how do you do that?
The two things that matter the most to me with quarterbacks are accuracy and then having that gene to stand in there. When you work all week to try to get somebody open down the field, we don't really have to worry too much about Kirk in the pocket, because we know he's going to stand in there, and when he needs to make those throws, critical throws, KJ versus Detroit, that throw to Justin to obviously put us in position. We know he's going to make them. He's done it his whole career, and he's doing it at a high level for us right now.
Your offensive coordinator, Wes Phillips, joins us next. How long have you guys known each other, and what does Wes do? What's his in-game role from the booth upstairs?
Yeah, I've known Wes going back really till the first year I worked with Kirk in Washington, and We've basically been doing football together ever since. I followed him to LA to be with Sean when we left Washington, and then ultimately he was the first guy I knew I had to have here with me on the offensive side when I was lucky enough to get this job. What Wes does is really so much for me. I mean, he's a voice upstairs. I can immediately ask him to confirm maybe what I thought I saw on the sideline. Hey, coverage, front, who pressured, where did we maybe, why was the play not successful? Normally Wes has those answers for me, and that allows me in real time very quickly to kind of assess and move on to figure out where we need to go as an offense. And then just his suggestions, he's had some real timely, hey coach, have you thought about this? Or hey, maybe we should try that. That has really helped move our team in critical moments, and don't know where we'd be without Wes.
And with your offense inside the red zone, inside the 20, you know, we discussed this last week, and the staff in totality, Chris Cooper, Keenan McCardell, Modkins, who we had last week, and so on. But Chris O'Hara, your quarterback's coach, Wes Phillips, Brian Angelico, your tight ends coach, the collaboration, the way you explained it, specifically with Brian, but with Wes, the in-game planning and in-game strategies. Like, how does he help you?
Well, so much of this year has not been the story of Wednesday through Saturday in our preparation. Sometimes, in fact, a lot of the times, what we see from defenses, you know, I tell our guys, you know, we should be really proud of the fact that a lot of people come in with a new strategy, a new personnel match with different defenses, a new way of playing coverage, because I feel like, you know, as a staff, they know that if we get what we see on tape, they could be in for some problems. So a lot of times what we do is in game, we're trying to basically take a game plan built for certain things, adjust it, make little tweaks, subtle things here and there, make sure Kirk's good with it, make sure the rest of the 10 guys in the huddle are aware of the why in real time, and then we watch them go out and make it come to life. So the staff's been huge for me, both offense, defense, and special teams, but they're also big in our culture and connecting with our players in a way where when we get on those planes and on those buses to go play these road games, we truly feel like we have a connected organization that's going to be a real problem for who we play.
Lastly, Leslie Frazier, the affable, lovable Leslie Frazier, former Vikings head coach, runs the Buffalo Bills defense. Does Leslie still run a Tampa 2? And I always have liked Terrell Edmonds, one of their linebackers in pass coverage. What do you think?
Yeah, they've, you know, they still mix it in a little bit, but they are a little bit more of an attacking kind of group now. They still play some split safety defense variations, but they'll load up the box to stop the run. They've got really good tackling secondary that kind of allows them to kind of cheat the fit, we call it sometimes. Not to get too technical, but when you really look at this defense, their front, I mean, these two linebackers, you mentioned Edmonds, Milano should be back this week. They go out and get Von Miller. You know, their other first-round pick defensive end, who I think has 8 sacks, Rousseau. He might be dinged up for our game, but you know, knowing how big of a game it is, we're expecting to see everybody that they have available. But just all levels of their defense, you know, when they're healthy, they cause a lot of problems, and they're very, very well coached. Defensive head coach, who I have a ton of respect for in this league, and then obviously Leslie Frazier is one of the best there is calling defenses. So huge challenge for us this week.
Thanks for the chat. Good luck.
Thank you.
Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the 7-1 Minnesota Vikings. When we return, offensive coordinator Wes Phillips joins us on X's and O's, presented by the Minnesota Lottery on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings radio network.